All right, I'm reviewing adding fractions here. So these are actually two problems taken right from your test, numbers 1 and 2. This is number 1 right here. Whenever you're adding fractions, what do you need to do first? That's what you're always going to ask yourself. I would say in this instance, we've got 3 different denominators, so you need to find a common denominator. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult to add these numbers up. So looks like your denominators are 5, 3, and 10. I would use a denominator of 30, right? I think 30 would go into 10 would go into 30, and 3 would. And then I think 5 would as well, because it ends in a 0. So 30. So we're going to change all 3 numbers so that the denominator is 30. All right, now that I've changed the denominator, we're trying to make this fraction right here, 2/5, into 30ths. It's got to be equivalent. And so in order to make it equivalent, if I multiply the denominator by 6, you have to now multiply the numerator by that same number, 6. Otherwise, you wouldn't be making equivalent fractions. So this is 12/30ths. This number here would be times 10, right? So we got to multiply your numerator, 1, by 10 as well. So that would be 10/30ths. And then this one here, we multiplied 10 by 3. So multiply 6 by 3, and you get 18. Just to be sure, I'm going to add these numbers off to the side. We only add the numerators when you're adding fractions. Don't add the denominators. That's kind of a wolf, actually. 12, 10, and 18. And if you do the math out here, you're going to get 40. 8 plus 2 is 10, so we end with a 0 here. I'd carry that 1 up here, and we get 4, 1, so that's 40. So your answer comes to 40/30ths. And if you look, they both end in a 0, so I could simplify that to 4/3. And 4/3 is the same thing as 1 and 1/3, right? Because if we did the division out here, 3 would go into 4 one time, and there'd be 1 left over. So it would be 1 and 1/3. This one right here, it's kind of a simpler version of this problem up here. The denominator is already common. So actually, that step that we did over here, which is, I think, the hardest step, you can skip now. So 7 plus 5 is 12, and we get 12/8ths, and that can be simplified since these have a common factor of 4. We could divide them both by 4, so this will be a 3 on top, and my denominator will be 2. So I get 3/2, and of course we want to make that a mixed number. It will be 1.5. Just one thing to note on these. It doesn't matter. If you want to stay at this step right here, make it a mixed number first and make it 1 and 4/8ths, that's okay. You can do that and then simplify it from there to get 1.5. You'll get the same answer, right? The other thing I want to point out up here, your denominator, 6/10ths here, we could actually simplify this to be 3/5ths at the very beginning, and that might make finding a common denominator just a little bit easier. Just something to think about. But we used 30, and that wasn't a big deal. Again, we could have made this. It looks like if we were to make it 3/5ths, it would have been 15 for your common denominator, right? All right. Hopefully, you took something away with it, adding fractions. Maybe you want to pause the video, watch it again, and try these fractions without any help from me.